Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I appreciate that. And Senator Capito, we're very pleased to hear your comments. I know you joined as a co-sponsor of our legislation this week, the bill that I introduced with Senator Crapo. We wrote that bill in this room in 2000. And Chief, thank you for your continued support and persistence in speaking up for it. And I'll just very quickly mention, I do hope that we can make mandatory the PILT program as part of it, because that helps give us a broader base for it. And Senator Capito made, I think, essentially that same point. We're looking for ways to grow our coalition for secure rural schools. Making PILT mandatory will help us do that. And as you know, in the one-year reauthorization for PILT, we basically came up with a process that shortchanged that formula. So now we've got frustrated communities about two areas, about secure rural schools and about PILT. So we look forward to working with you on that. Let me talk to you about water for a moment. And as you know, my constituents are really on the cusp of coming up with a fresh approach for dealing with these contentious water battles, and we're having them all over the West. And again, this committee played a leading role because essentially out of our work in the last Congress, we came up in the Klamath Basin with something that really hadn't been done before, and that was a task force that cut the cost of the program, eliminated some of the political battles between folks in different parts of the basin, and we felt we were really right on the cusp of being able to enact it into law. Most recently, we have bumped up against a serious problem involving the ownership of the Mazama forest. And as you and I have talked about here in the last couple of days, the Klamath tribe has, as I've indicated, continually worked in good faith, and they have concerns about what's happened. We're going to have to find ways to deal with it and make sure that the tribes are treated fairly. I just would like to have, because I know people at home are listening to this, have your thoughts on this and the commitment you gave to me that you'll work with us on this to make sure that the tribes are treated fairly, because this will be key to actually getting this passed into law. I introduced it in this session of Congress, as in the last session of Congress, with Senator Merkley, with the California senators. We want to get it done this time. So having your commitment and having you on record today would be very helpful.
Well, Senator, we are committed to work with you and Senator Merkley to be able to find a solution. And I look at the benefits here of providing a solution for the tribe, and at the same time to deal with the water issues that are essential for the farmers and the ranchers. And once again, we're going to be faced with another very, very dry year. And then at the same time, to be able to factor in opportunities for us to increase the level of forest management in here. I think there's some opportunities here for a very creative approach, and it's something that we could look at, finding not only maybe to address the solutions here, but maybe in other parts of the country too. So we're more than committed to be able to work with you to be able to find a solution to this, because it's one of those issues that we can't change the past, can't change the history, but it's an opportunity to kind of move forward in a way that we can address this in a way that everyone benefits. The tribes benefit, the water users benefit, industry can benefit from it, the public in general benefits from it. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. And I tell you that I've talked to my staff. They're already rolling up their sleeves, ready to go to work on this to look at some creative solutions.
Well, thank you, Chief. And this will help Oregon. This will help people who live in the basin. But I do think it has the potential to be a model for dealing with water issues around the country. Let me ask you about one other question before my time runs out, and that's the question of fighting wildfires. As you know, we have a bipartisan bill in the Senate. We have a bipartisan bill in the House, because the system is essentially broken. You know, what we have is a situation where you all don't get enough resources in order to deal with prevention. Then you have a situation where it gets hotter and drier, and you have a lightning strike, and all of a sudden you have an inferno on your hands, and in effect, the prevention fund is asked to put up, money to help put the fire out, and the problem gets worse because you have shorted prevention. So we're trying to change that. We have the administration's support so that these big fires, these infernos, would get handled from the Natural Disaster Fund. Tell me what it means to you as we wrap up to have that kind of flexibility as the bipartisan bill in the Senate and House seeks to do.
Well, the benefits of having this legislation passed is, one, it resolves the issue, it provides stable funding for suppression, and we no longer have to start, often sometimes in July, but definitely in August, contacting all of our units to see what funds are available and then start to pull that money back to be able to transfer it. And even in the very few years that we end up not having to transfer, we still have to go through all that work. It shuts down operations, it puts people out of work. And most times, Congress then, sometime in the future, pays the money back. So this is your proposal, it was scored neutral by the Congressional Budget Office. It's a better business model. It's just a better approach. And I know at the same time, 99% of the fires are still be covered out of our budget. It's just this 1%. And you had one fire in your state last year. Senator Cantwell had one. We had quite a few in Oregon. Just last year, the top 10 fires, $329 million. And that's out of 52,000 fires just on the national forests. So we're going to continue to suppress 98% of our fires where we take initial attack. It's just this 1% that really does need to be considered a natural disaster.
Thank you, Madam Chair.